Once to icon. Okay, I think we are live. Okay, so back to Zoom.
Yeah, we're live.
Awesome. Well, Landon, welcome here. We're excited that you're here. So this is for everybody that is already an icon and wants to be here to learn from another icon and learn a new trick, or it's for everybody that wants to icon, so you can learn directly from the icons, as I like to say, directly from the horse's mouth. And who better, Yasmin, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Hi, guys. How are you?
You're good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Mariana, you're the co-host. Landon, nice to meet you.
Yes.
I did.
Nice to meet you.
I heard so much about you. Tiffany is sitting across the table. I love you. Are very driven and very young and ready to icon. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So Yasmin, what you got for us today?
Well, I'm excited to share. I don't think so. I'm doing something very special, but I guess I am.
Well, what you're doing, it's working, and that's all we need to know.
Exactly. So yeah. So what do you want? Where should I start? Should I start?
Well, let's start at the beginning, because I want everybody to understand, because sometimes people are like, well, it's easy for Gogo, or well, it's easy for Yasmin. But really, if you stop and look back, like usually when you learn about someone like a celebrity, you think it's an overnight success. Because that's when you learn about them. But there isn't such a thing as overnight success. Everybody had to go through years and years and years of hardship and life lessons and, sleepless nights and early mornings, and some transactions that don't close and some transactions that, close 2 years later after they see 50 homes. So I want to understand. Ooh, Christy just joined us.
Sorry, guys. I thought I muted myself.
The sound too.
Yeah.
Okay. There you are. Okay.
I'll just do
So it's also not only just what you go through, but then you learn from every single lesson, and that next time when you're doing that same thing, it becomes easier. But also I want to say for Yasmin and like myself, we have a little bit of more hardship than an average agent in this country because we are both foreigners. So Yasmin, I want you to start from the basics of, being from Mexico. How old were you when you moved here, the different states that you lived in, and how you ended up in this area? And then how did you become a 2 times icon agent in only being 3 years in the industry? Because that's additional hardship that you had to go through versus somebody who's in an area where they live there their whole entire life.
Yes. So my degree is international business. So I used to work before coming here to the US. I used to work in a Japanese company, and that's how I met my husband. And then I came about almost 18 years ago, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. So I never worked, I was just doing play dates and that kind of stuff. So then we moved to Michigan, probably, I think it was 6 years ago this summer. And 2 years prior, we moved here. I mean, 2 years after we moved here in Michigan, I decided to take my license. So of course I was kind of building my sphere, but not really, because all I know is just a few moms from my kids' school. So I got my license, and I started with a real estate one here in Plymouth. I reached out to a couple real estate agents just to say, hey, can you help me? And I was so excited. You're thinking that everyone is going to help you. And they said, like, no, you go and just interview. Well, they didn't even say go and interview a brokerage. They say, you go and talk to whatever. So I thought that I was asking for a job. I didn't know I supposed to interview brokerage. So
I didn't either. I just went to the first brokerage and they hired me, and I was like, okay, cool. And I stayed there for 7.5 years. I didn't know that I get to pick and choose, and different brokerages do different cuts and caps, and I had no idea.
I didn't know that. So I ended up with a real estate one in Plymouth, it doesn't make sense because I have one here in Novi, 5 blocks from my house. But so I was 20 minutes down there, and it was good at that time. They taught me how to write a contract, a lot of how to do paperwork at that time. So that was good, but they didn't show me how to run a business. So my first year, and so now since I didn't have a sphere or a lot of friends or family around here, I decided to use social media. But instead of using Instagram, I use Facebook, because that was the only way for me, you know, to find people and to promote myself. And that's what I did.
So
So
what specifically, the reason I'm asking, because I know exactly what you did specifically on Facebook, but I want to hear it from you. So how did you end up using Facebook?
So first, I used to live in Ohio. So when I moved here, and I saw a lot of, you know, I met a lot of Latin people, Latin moms at the gym. So I was just going to the gym, taking my kids to swimming lessons and all that kind of stuff. So then I started joining groups, like from Latin groups on Facebook. And those groups, they allowed you to post once a week. But at that time, so I was doing that. I was doing videos and I was just sharing content and posting like every week. And they have events. Sometimes they will do like breakfast once a month, lunch once a month, and Christmas events and stuff like that. So I was very involved in the community. So that's what I did. I went to every single lunch, every single breakfast. I was kind of networking.
Yeah.
And using Facebook with that. And that's what I did.
That's awesome. So would you say that's your niche though? To me, it sounds like you found your niche. And that's the thing, you all have to find your niche, and your niche might be something totally different than somebody else's niche. My niche became social media out of necessity because that was the only thing I could afford and the only thing I knew how to do it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the social media queen one day. Like never even crossed my mind. That was the only thing I knew how to do generational wise. And then that was the only thing I could afford at the time where I can reach the strangers, because just like you, I didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know anyone. I had no sphere. I didn't have a cousin that's going to buy a house from me. You know what I mean? So sounds like you found your niche. So you specialize not only taking it onto social media with Facebook, because again, you had to work with strangers, but you took it one step further and you went into your community. So would you say, what's the percentage do you think that of your clients are Spanish speakers versus English speakers?
I think 99%. And that was one of the questions.
Wow.
Myself doing that too, is like, okay, do I want to focus just in Spanish or English? Because, you know, Spanish Latin community is way smaller if you compare it with Americans, or, you know, what we call Americans, which is people that speak English. But at that time I was like, okay, so I want to be the person, and that was a hard decision to just focus on Latin community. That doesn't mean I only work with Latinos. That means I was focusing my marketing on that. And I decided to be, okay, if I want to be the girl to call if you need a Spanish speaking realtor. And that's what I decided to do. And it was risky at first because I didn't know if I was kind of like, you know, then I wouldn't expand big enough. But I think it worked so good. So right now, I don't produce more because I really don't have the time to produce more. So I think like what I did last year, which was about $10 million and almost 40 transactions.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Icon Agent.
Thank you. So yes, and it works. Social media for me, it's my number one platform for marketing. Is free. I never paid for a lead, never ever. And now I want to say something. When you are working with referrals, you work more. That's for sure, because you have to give you 110% because you want those clients
to refer again.
Business.
Yeah.
So I focus so much on customer service, then I connect and I develop those things. You know, I learn how to speak to my clients. I know what their needs are. I know what they like to talk about. I know how they feel being away from home. So it's a business. So when I'm talking with them and when I'm having a conversations, I have to connect. So for me, it's not at first, oh, I don't see the dollar sign in their head. For me, is number one is going to connect, because I know if that person when that person is going to buy a house, I know they're going to come 3 or more clients. And even if that person doesn't buy a home or sell their home, they are going to refer my business. I know for sure. So I focus so much on connecting with my clients. And then it's just,
There's nothing better than when somebody come referred. You don't have to, yes, you work harder because you want them to refer another client too. And you want to stay true to that person's word because they referred you. You know, you don't want the person who referred you look bad if you don't deliver on your promises. So you want to make sure that you give the same exact service to all of your clients because you know it's working, because that person that you gave this level of service referred their friend, cousin, mom, sister, childhood friend to you. So now you have to deliver that same service again. And again,
I remember when I had my first listing, I think I was like, I had my license for, I don't know, probably 3 weeks. So I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but I guess I got the listing, you know, my appointment. And of course I was learning, I overpriced the home, you know, there were a few things that I didn't, of course, my broker at the time didn't really help me with that. So 3 weeks later, they decided to take that listing from me. And I was like, yeah, sure. And they gave it to somebody else and the house never sold. And 6 months later, I found them in a birthday party and they come and say, hi, you know, and say hi to me. Well, these people, actually, they never sold their house. So these people referred my business to 4 or 5 more people during that time because the service that I give during those 3 weeks, they were able to compare with other realtors and they didn't get that service. And actually right now, finally, they are going to sell their home and they reach out to me again and they say, we want you to be my realtor. And they refer my business to 4 or 5 clients. So even they didn't sell at that time and they took the listing from me, I knew that the service I was providing, there is nowhere they're going to find that service somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you work a little bit. So I work more than normal, but you
get to do it in your own language.
Yes.
With people that's, you know, that are your culture. So you don't necessarily have to adjust. It's kind of, I love that you do it in your own language. I don't think I could though, because I always done business in English. I've never done business in Hungarian or Romanian. I don't think I would even know like the terminology, like what's an addendum, what's a post-closing occupancy, what's a damage deposit. Like I wouldn't know how to do that in Hungarian.
I mean, you spend way more time explaining, you know, because the system is different and it is, but that's another thing. To be able to sell more, I have to make systems and stuff like that. So I'm learning to work smarter, not harder. You know, before I worked with my client, now I know how to, the first time, every day I get a phone call from somebody, then refer my business all the time. So I know at that time how to screen, I guess, is that the way I could say it. So I know the way I connect on that phone call. So that way when they are ready to purchase or sell, I don't waste, you know what I'm saying? So I know how to connect so they know when they are, even if they're not ready at that time, they are going to come back to me.
Yeah. So you're really good, you would say, in follow-up?
Not really.
Well, you must be then.
I'm not. No, I'm not good at follow-up. I know I should be doing better. I don't actually follow up. I just feel like, yeah, I'm trying to get better at that. But I feel like that's what I say. Like, I know I masterized so much on my first phone call to connect and provide value. Then when they are ready, they call me.
So tell me, what is the first phone call like with you then?
I just pretty much ask questions, you know, the normal questions like, what is your timeline? What are you doing? And from that conversation, I focus on their needs. So then I talk about how I like to work. I like to do sometimes like a Zoom call. I invite the lenders. So I give value because I know most of the realtors are not doing that.
So this is actually a great idea. And you told me about this idea, what you do. So why don't you tell them about that? Because I thought it was genius. So when she does her buy side, so if she gets a buy side referral, she does a Zoom call, but invites the lender to the Zoom call.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not just you as the agent, you are there with your team, you are there with your service department, and then the lender can ask those uncomfortable questions of like, would you like to get pre-approved? Can you afford to buy this house? Can you afford to work with Yasmin? So you don't have to ask those uncomfortable questions. So they can get literally pre-approved right on the call. So Yasmin, how did you even come up with this?
I just, because I used to do it before the pandemic, I used to meet with them and explain the process. So I don't like meeting people at my office or when I used to have an office. So what I do is like, hey, let's go and have coffee, because I feel like that way you can have a different conversation and we just connect. And then I explain the process, and then they have to go to the lender and that. So when the pandemic came, I decided to, I think it's work smarter. So instead of, I'm gonna explain one thing and then they will go to the lender and then the lender will explain and then they will come back to me. It's just like too many questions. And I don't know what the lender is explaining. I don't know if they're explaining about closing costs. I don't know if they're explaining about appraisal guarantee. I don't know that. So I wanted to make sure then the lender is explaining how the market it is.
Yeah.
Because that's going to save me time out there when I'm showing homes and when I'm negotiating offers and when I'm writing offers. So that's why I decided to invite the lender to the Zoom. And then I have like a monopoly. I use like a monopoly, and it shows every single step of the process.
So what do you call monopoly?
Oh, like the game.
Like the actual game?
Yeah, like an actual, I mean, it's not game. It's just like, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I have it here with me, but it's just like the process. I think I have it here.
Yeah. Oh, how did you come up with that?
I just found it, and you see it?
I think it is.
That is so cool. Can you post a link to that in Team Gogo after?
Yeah. So what I do with that one is it's just I explain the process, and then where it comes with for the pre-approval and all the lender.
Actually, so let's walk us through it very quick.
Hold on. What do you mean?
I'm the buyer.
So here, so here is like I share my screen with this one. So let me see if I can share this screen so you guys can see.
Perfect. That's even better.
Oh, but I need to.
Yeah, let me allow you. Sorry, hold on. There you go.
Hold on, sorry. I was not prepared to share this.
Putting you on the spot.
That's why I decided to invite the lender, so that way they know what's the process and they know how much money, because I don't know how much money extra they have to guarantee appraisal.
Yeah.
I think it's here. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes, so that's what I do. So then when we start with the
that is so cool.
hold on,
Yeah, turn it around so we can see it.
hold on, I don't know what I did.
And act like.
So yeah, so what I do is just when they have to be pre-approval, I let the lender explain what the lender will need, like, okay, if they need pay stubs, if they need, closing costs, all that kind of stuff. So then when it comes to search your home, then I say, well, after you're pre-approved.
I'm going to stop you right here. Okay. So let's start all over, acting like I am the buyer and you are literally explaining me your process. Okay. So let's assume that there's a lender on here. So when the lender talks, talk again, approximately what the lender says. Okay. So hi, Yasmin, I would love to hire you to be my buy-side realtor. Can you explain me how you work?
Yeah. So So of course, we introduce Diego. Usually I work with Diego because he speaks Spanish. And then
so let's talk about this. Yeah. Do you have some sort of a verbal agreement, a written agreement with your lender that he drops everything, and if you have a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, he has to be on your call Tuesday at 4 o'clock? Or how do you organize that?
I'm like you. I just go straight to the point.
Hey, we have Tuesday at 4. I'll see you there.
Yeah, I say, hey, okay, you know, I get a lot of business, and if you want to be working with my clients, this is what is expected, you know, and do you want to be part of that or not? And if that's yes, it's a yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so it's Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We are on here. I'm the buyer. You are, and I know you usually do this presentation in Spanish.
I know that's gonna be really hard. I'm like, oh, okay.
I have to think about it a little bit in English, but just walk us through it so we can understand the flow and you know what happens.
Yeah, because usually I do this in Spanish. So now it's the opposite. Like now I have to think and translate. But let's say like, okay, the first step is, so all this process is going to take about 30 days.
Okay.
And start from the time you have a purchase agreement and offer accepted to the end of the closing. So the first step is going to be pre-approved, and Diego is going to explain what do you need to have to.
Okay. And this is where the lender takes over and
The lender will start all the way until search your home. And then I say, okay, after you are pre-approved, we will start looking for your home. And then I talk about a little bit how the market it is, and then what they are looking, what cities, but we don't really know how much they can afford. So I don't focus too much on those details at this time, because I want to make the call quick too. You know, you don't want to take an hour and a half. So then I say, well, and so I'm going to be in charge of that. We're going to go and see homes. And as soon as we see a homes, I will show you what I can find during the first visit. Just like, you know, let's say then if the kitchen needs to be updated, I will help you. If I'm going to give you ideas how you can update it on a cheap way, or if you want to remodel stuff like, so I help them to imagine how the house will look, you know, even if it's not updated. And then I talk about, then I negotiate the contract, and I talk about how many transactions I close, and my rate, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then I talk about the EMD.
Yeah.
And how much, like 1 to 3%. And then when it comes to lock-in rate, that's part of the lender. And then I talk about inspection, what to expect during the inspection, because I don't like to waste time and money.
Yeah.
So I don't like to end up an inspection and then having a buyer, then they want a new roof.
Yeah.
Or they want new windows. And then all this time is just a waste of time. So I like to set up expectations from the
beginning. Do you explain usually the difference between a regular home inspection and then the inspection that's required, or the repairs that are required by the type of the loan they get?
Not really, because I don't work with a lot of FHA. So most of my clients are conventional. So I really don't go that way, that path.
Yeah, I used to. I guess now you're right. It's kind of hard to have an FHA offer or a MISH accepted, but
especially like
past, used to explain the difference between the two.
Yeah, exactly. Like just no, I don't do that.
Yeah, we also do, like in my area, we have a lot of septic and well guys. So the regular home inspection will not include the septic and well. They have to pay extra. We also have arsenic and radon in our area, and the regular home inspection does not include checking for arsenic in the water and does not include checking for radon. So I usually recommend my clients, and I'll explain those outside of the norm, that, you know, I strongly recommend for you to get radon test, because about 60 to 80% of the homes in this area that have radon, it's a natural gas that could eventually cause you health hazards. And then same with the arsenic in the water. You can taste it, you can smell it, it's still there. It doesn't, but the regular home inspection water test does not check for arsenic. So I always recommend my client to get, you know, pay extra and check their arsenic. So maybe because I'm in the boonies, we have a little bit more, you know, we don't have city water, we don't have sewer, we have septic and well. And if your septic is bad and you didn't inspect it, like we are talking, if it's engineered septic failed, we are talking $40,000, $50,000. Like it's no joke. So I usually have to go into a little bit more on explaining of all of the types of the home inspections. And then also in some areas in Michigan, we have what's called a city cert, a city certification, which is it's an additional home inspection that is required by the city that the home is located in. So just make sure that you are up to date on all of the different inspection types. Maybe you should interview like 3, 4, 5 local inspectors and just understand everything that they do, the things that they cannot do, the things that are out of norm in your area, so you can really be knowledgeable on the inspection, because that's where usually deals fall apart. And if you knew all of those things ahead of time, then you could have fixed it before it became a problem.
Yeah, so I recommend the radon too a lot, because I do that. Yeah. And then from there, after inspection is, after we pass inspection is the appraisal, and then the lender will explain about that, and I will explain how the market it is, and appraisal guarantees, and if we have multiple offers, and then from there to the closing, it's pretty much the lender, but it's pretty easy. We don't really go in details with everything. Yeah,
so usually I'll explain my clients, I said upfront in a transaction, we are so attached to each other. We talk multiple times a day, and then we get to inspection, and then we negotiate it, and then it's crickets for 3 weeks. So I promise I didn't give up on you. I promise I didn't fall off the face of the earth. It's just there's nothing for me to call you about, and just to call you because I'm busy, you're busy. Just know that if you don't hear from me, it's good news. When you hear from me is when we got back the appraisal. Because at first, you're attached by the hip, and then there's 2-3 weeks in the middle, then it's just an awkward period. So I usually explain to my clients that I didn't fall off the face of the earth. I'm still here for you. It's just, you'll hear from me if and when, we have a news about the appraisal. And then there's 4 more steps in there, funding and all that.
Yeah. Those, just the lender, I just let the lender talk about, and then we explain when the closing comes, you're going to sign 100 pages, 500 pages.
And your life away. Yeah.
And stuff so very simple. So I like to focus on inspection and appraisal, because that's one of
the 2 big. Yeah. How long does this usually take you?
I think it will take about an hour. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because they have questions. A lot of the questions are for the lender, and that's why I decided to invite the lender, because they will come how much money do I need? What credit score? How much can I afford? All those things. And I don't know how much they're making. I don't know how much their debt is. So instead of, okay, call the lender and then call me back when you're ready, and then I have to call the lender, how much money? And that was, for me, that was easier, just to answer questions about the real estate and about
That's amazing. So then after the appointment, they decide to work with you. Do you send automatically a buyer's agency agreement, electronic signature? At what point do you sign?
I do it when I write an offer.
Got it. Okay. So you don't make them sign an agency?
I don't. I know I should, but I just feel like when somebody wants to work with you, it doesn't matter if you sign 100 papers, 100 agreements. They can just say, hey, I don't want to work with you, and they're done.
Yeah, I do it for multiple reasons though, and I could be wrong, but I was told that in the state of Michigan, if you don't have a buyer's agency agreement, you're not even supposed to enter someone's home, because your E&O will not cover you. So God forbid something happens, your dog bites you, or you set the house on fire, you break something, and they sue you, E&O will not cover you. Number one. Number two, I take my job seriously enough, and I want commitment. I want to know that you're not shopping around with other agents. Now you can fire me anytime for any reason with no cost involved. But if you want to work with me, this is where you sign. Yeah, so not only that, but in my opinion, if you take your job seriously enough, they will take you seriously. So you have to deserve that commitment, in my opinion. So I have zero problem asking for them to sign right here. So I would send them automatically, just say in the meeting, it's hey, I will send your contract. It's called the buyer's agency agreement. I will send it to this email address that we discussed with electronic signature. You can terminate it anytime for any reason with no cost involved, unless we have an accepted offer. If we have an accepted offer, you're stuck with me.
Yeah.
And that's literally what I say. Yeah. But I make them sign a buyer's agency. I always have an agency with my buyers and sellers, no matter what. Even if it's a listing that's going to hit the market 3 weeks now, a month from now, I still sign a listing agreement, because that listing is mine whenever you're ready to list it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my only input in there. I would make them sign a buyer's agency. So you're protected, and they'll take you seriously because you're under contract. They'll take you seriously because you do just fine with all of these transactions, but I would want to make sure that you're covered. God forbid something happened in those properties.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. We usually don't do it.
Yeah, because technically we are not supposed to enter someone's home without a buyer's agency for E&O to cover you. Yeah. and God forbid, I thank God I've never been sued. I don't want to get sued, but God forbid something happens, you want to sleep good at night.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Okay, so should we open? Oh, so to answer these questions. This is your second year icon. Congratulations. High five.
Thank you. Here.
So tell us,
I'm waiting.
where is your icon? Oh, I love it. I'm so happy for you. So guys, Yasmin took a year to come over. I literally talked her ears off for a year. And we just had this conversation. What is it? Murphy's Law. Karma is a BITCH. Is Cynthia's on here. So Cynthia is one of her first generation, and Cynthia took a year. So Yasmin was complaining to me about Cynthia, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I told her everything and she's still not over here. She's still not over here. And finally I was like, you know what? Karma is a bitch. Get what you give. It's just awesome of how, we get to now work together. So, okay, tell us this. The first year, how many transactions it took you and how long did it take you to cap?
With EXP?
Yeah, with us.
So it took about between 3 and 4 months.
And how many transactions?
What did you say?
Yeah, how many transactions?
9 transactions.
Okay, and then how many? Well, 29 transactions then. 20 more to Icon.
Just enough to Icon my first year.
Yeah, I remember you calling me 2 days before your anniversary date. She's like, I have 2 days. If this transaction doesn't close, I won't Icon. And guys, that is the worst feeling because you are right there. You're right there, but saved by the bell, as they say. She closed her transaction on Friday, and Monday your anniversary date was up or something like that. Yeah. And so she Iconed, she called me. She's like, do you think they take the day that it was processed or day that it was closed? I said, I think they take it the day it was closed. So
the process is like, I'm screwed. I'm not getting it.
So literally you did it the last day in the first year, and then second year with us.
In the second year, it took 3 months to reach my cap, which is about 9 transactions again.
Yeah.
And then it took about 6 months, I think. So I cap in September.
So July, August, September, 2 months.
So it took 5 months, to Icon.
So you had 7 months to be at a 100%.
From February. So I Icon in February. So then I have February, March, April, May, 3 months. Yeah.
Okay. So 3 months, and now your transactions are at $75 a piece.
So it took 8 months to Icon. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then now you get your cap back and your transactions are only $75 a piece and it's sitting in your retirement account.
Yes. Yeah.
So now, can you tell us this? What is that? So let me tell you this. When I was looking at EXP, granted, mind you, we had stocks, but we had stocks through our financial advisor in my husband's 401k. I've never bought a stock. I didn't trade stocks. I didn't understand really how they work. After I started looking at EXP, the idea that I can earn my cap back, the $16,000, I looked at it of like, that's $16,000 that's sitting in the end of the year in my bank account. Well, that's not what it is it, Yasmin? It's a little bit more than that.
It is. Yeah.
So this is our closed group. You can share your numbers here. So you only have your first year Icon Award, which is $16,000 worth of stocks that you got back last year. What is that worth today?
I don't even have the 16,000 yet. I think I have like 14 right now.
Yeah. So what is that worth today?
About over $200,000.
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that?
I love you, Yasmin.
So her $16,000 worth of stocks is worth over $200,000 today. Because the stocks, when she got it last year, they were what, $9 a piece?
Yeah, it was, I started with, it was $9. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now you multiply that, they are like $35 a piece. So do the math. It's worth really almost 4 times as much as what you got. And then you opted into the 5% stock option, correct?
Yes.
So every time you close, they buy you stocks for 5% worth of your commission every single month or every single time you close. So that's an additional, but that's $200.
But I think I paid from my money, from that 5%. I think I only spent 20 grand probably.
So you spend 20 grand to make 200,000. I'll do it. Raise your hand if you would do it too. If I say, give me 20 grand, I'll give you 200. Yeah,
I'm raising my
yeah,
hand.
they are. Yeah, Tiffany and Christy are raising their hands too. I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer. But I didn't understand it back then. To me, it was worth 16,000. The way I looked at it is that 16,000 that I would have spent, now it's sitting in my account. Now realizing that 16,000 can grow, like literally, who knows what it's going to be worth when we retire?
Yeah.
I mean, it could go south too. It could worth a penny. I don't know, but at least it's a penny I would have not had if I stayed at another brokerage, because you're not earning it back there.
Yeah, for me, it was not like I was not thinking, you know, those $16,000 is going to be 30,000 or 50,000 at one point. I was just like, I want my money back. I want those 16,000. That was my goal, to be honest. Like, okay, I'm gonna pay EXP 16,000. I want those back. And that was my own. I was, because I didn't really know about stocks either. Right now, it's like, okay, I want my money back because I know it's going to be worth way more in the future. But at that time,
this is only the 200,000 is only her first year icon.
Yeah.
Even though she iconed in her second year, she did not receive her award yet. It takes a while to receive your award. So who knows what that's going to be worth? I can't wait to have this conversation in a year from now and see what it's worth.
oh, I'm excited too.
That's so awesome. So I guess maybe just give us some like mindset things. Like, is there anything that the way you carry yourself or the way you think about yourself, like what makes Yasmin Yasmin?
Well, I like to, I know, you know, real estate is a roller coaster emotion all the time, because sometimes it's like, oh yeah, we close 4 transactions and 1 month we don't really close anything. So it is, I feel like for me, what it helps me a lot is working out, for sure. It helps my mindset, and, you know, to set up my mind in the morning. So I try to work out at least 3 times a week. I love to
wake up.
If I wake up, like last week, and no always is good, you know, last week and this week I didn't really wake up, but I try.
What time do you wake up when you do wake up?
I wake up around 5 in the morning.
And goes to work out, guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's determination. That's waking up your mind before the rest of the world is
But I
waking up.
just feel then the days that I do that, I would just, my mindset is just like, okay, I can do this, and I'm gonna work, and the day.
Amy Mitchell does that too. I mean, sometimes I watch her videos and she's walking around in pitch dark, guys. So not only that she's woken up before the rest of the world, she's woken up before the sun woken up. She'll walk in pitch dark at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like,
and it's so funny because winter is easier for me to wake up, and I struggle a lot during summer. Like right now, it will feel like it should be easier for me to wake up because it's not cold, you know, it's sunny outside, but it's hard. So, and I'm not a morning person. So people then, oh yeah, you wake up, oh, it's so easy. Or no, for me, I can sleep until 10 a.m. if you let me, every single day. That would be like my dream come true. So I'm not a morning person. So for me to wake up at 5 in the morning, it's really a sacrifice. But I know that when I do that, it's the first thing I check. I love to listen to Tony Robbins. I love to listen like, you know, I always feed in my brain with positive thoughts.
Yeah, mindset stuff. Yeah, I do too. I every time I put makeup on, I'm playing something from you.
So I love doing that. Yes. And then I just goals. For me, it's just, for me, my first year with EXP, I was like, okay, what do I need to do to reach icon? And then I just break down everything, and I was just checking out, you know, and then in tracking, because if you
let's talk about goals though very quick. Like, let's actually break it down for everybody here, because you and me did the reverse engineering. But let's do reverse engineering with everybody. Like Carla here is brand new with us. Hi, Carla. And hi, Landon. And Julia, I'm so excited for your trip. You can tell us all about it in a minute. But everybody on here that's brand new, let's figure out what is going to take you to icon, because it's going to be very different for everybody because of the price ranges in the area that you are at. So Landon and Carla, I'm going to pick on you guys. Amy, you can play too. I see though your whole team is there. So let's do this. What is the average price range that you work on? What is your average price range? So are we talking 275, or is that Susan? Who is iPhone?
Me.
Oh, hi, Lauren.
I'm saying, yeah.
Awesome. So I see an iPhone on here. Who is iPhone? Yes, unmute yourself.
I'm here. I think it's
Yes.
I was trying to see if my name was on the, usually I'm on my computer, but I'm on my phone, so.
Okay, tell me your name.
Christine,
There you go, Christine. Thank you. Okay, so let's play this game. Everybody, write down what is your personal average price range? The homes that you personally sell, what's the average price range? If you haven't sold one, you're brand new, then what's the average price range in the area that you service? Are we talking 250,000, 750,000, 1.4 million? Okay, Steve, Tassie, 300,000 for you. Average commission is by 3% is $9,000. Okay, so we're going to calculate Steve's. With $9,000, you're going to be paying 20%. That's 1,800 to the company. So 16,000 divided by 1,800. It's going to take you 8.8 transactions to cap. So 20 more transactions. So it's your case, 28.8. Let's make it 29. It's going to take you 29 transactions in your own anniversary year to Icon. So everyone's anniversary year is the first of the next month. So whichever month you joined in, so Carla and Landon, you guys are brand new. You guys are joined in June. Your anniversary date is July 1st, which means you have until next year, July 1st to Icon. Okay, Christine, what was your date? May?
yeah, well, when I think it's going to be really June 1st is officially, because I joined the.
So you have until June 1st of next year to Icon. So Christine, what's your average price range? You're California, so it's a little higher. What is it?
I'd say 1 million.
1 million. Sorry, it was cutting out. So do you guys charge 3% or 2.5%? What's
2.5. 2.5.
So that's 25,000 in commission. 20% is $5,000. So 16,000 divided by $5,000. It's pretty much 3 transactions, but 3.2. So it's 3.2 transactions for you plus 20. So 23.2 transactions, and you're an Icon. Okay. So now you can divide that 23. So it's pretty much 2 transactions a month. There's 12 months. So 2 transactions a month, you're an Icon agent.
Yeah.
Good job.
Do it.
Let's do it. I know you want it really bad. So let's get it done, because that's the #1 reason why you joined. So we have to get that done. So any type of open houses, any kind of app city leads, the referral groups, if you guys are not a part of the referral groups, you have to be, many of your leads are going to come from there. Okay, so I see London, your number is 450. Do you guys charge 3%, Tiffany?
Yeah.
So that's 13.5. I don't know how that's set up, but you guys can figure that out later. So 13.5 minus 20%, that's 2,700. 16,000 divided by 2,700, it's 6 transactions. So in your case, 26 transactions, you're an Icon. Okay.
But 6, he has is 16,000.
Yes, if he's a full capping agent and keeping 100% of commissions. So if you're on a team, your numbers are totally different. If you're on a team that you will have a reduced cap, like 8,000 agents on teams cannot Icon. Okay, so just know that. If you have a reduced cap, you can't pay in 8,000 and get back 16. It's very simple. You pay 16, you get back 16. If you pay 8, you don't get it back. Okay, so Carla, yours was 350. So that's 10,500. I'm assuming you charge 3%, correct?
Yeah.
So that's 20%, that's 2,100. So we take 16,000 by 2,100, 7.6 transactions. So let's make it 8. So it's 28 transactions, your Icon.
Okay.
But you have a lot under contract. How many you have under contract?
I have 8.
8, yeah, first month. So I think you're gonna be just fine, honey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's how you Icon. So just keep, but now you know your numbers. Now you have to put it up there on a whiteboard and say 26 transactions, 29 transactions, whatever. And every time you do one, you do the line, 5, cross it out, line, 5, cross it out. So the end of then you know I have to do 2 transactions this month at 350,000 to Icon. If I don't do 2, then I have to do 1 for 700. If I don't do none this month, then next month I have to do 4. Make sense? So when you know your numbers, you know what the end number is. You divide it by 12. It breaks it down how many transactions you need to do in a month at what price range. If you're not doing that, then you need to buckle up. You need to do 1 at a higher price range, or you need to do 3 at a lower price range. But either way, you have to reach those numbers so you can Icon. Yasmin, working out, that's your mindset, knowing your goals. Is there anything that you do by knowing your goals? Like, do you write it down? Do you have to see it? Do you do mantras? Do you put it out there to the universe? How do you reach your goal?
I write them down. You know, yes, I do. Just to especially for the icon program, I go like 20 first cap and how many I need, and then how close I'm getting to cap. And then as soon as I cap, I start pretty much like reverse, 20, 19, and then how long do I have? And then like right now, my anniversary date just reset, in June. So game starts
again.
Yes. And so right now my goal is to cap, and that's pretty much that's what I do. Just like, what do I need to do? And if I'm getting close and I'm not reaching goals, then I have to post more and I have to do more videos. And it really depends how much you want to. For me, my goal is not to sell 100 homes. It's no, so I don't really focus on massive production. For me, it was just like, cap, icon. And then because I want to invest time in agent attraction.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. How many agents did you have? Because you just texted me. How many, a couple hours ago, whatever. How many agents did you have last year this time?
4, probably.
How many agents do you have today?
18.
Woohoo! How did that happen, Yasmin?
Well, actually it was March this year. I had 9.
That's amazing. And then you buckled up.
Yeah, because I think I reached icon in February. So I was like, okay, I don't really have to produce because I already icon, but I was still producing. I was closing 2, 3, 4 homes a month, but I was not really working hard to get new business.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm like, okay, now I need to get more business because I want to cap an icon again,
But think of it this way, guys. I went to a Brand Go event and Al Abdullah was sitting in the front row. This was a local event here in Michigan. Al Abdullah does about 125 listing sides as an individual agent. He's a cold caller. So he just cold calls, gets a listing, cold call, gets a listing. But he does about 125 a year, okay? So he's sitting front row and Brand Go looks at him and says, okay, what's your goal for transaction? He says 125 transactions. And he goes, wow, that's a lot of transactions. Why is that your goal? He goes, well, that's what I do. I do about 100, 125 every year. So I just want to continue doing that every single year. And then Brand Go says, what are those? So those 125 transactions you're going to do this year, how much are they going to pay you next year?
About 0.
How about the year after that? How about 10 years from now? Can you retire on those transactions that you closed 10 years ago? No. But can you retire on revenue share? Yes. So he said, instead of going for 125 transactions just because you can do it, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's pointless at that point. Just like Yasmin said, as soon as she icon, she stopped concentrating on transaction and she went concentrating on agent attraction because she knows that transactions in the moment are going to pay you this year. Agent attraction is what's going to pay you in the future. So you don't, and it will pay you this year too, but it will pay you for the rest of your life as long as those agents are staying with the company. Because yes, we are young and we can do 125 transactions when you're 30 something. But are you going to be able to pull those numbers when you're 67, when you're 72? No. You're not going to have the same energy. You're not going to have as much patience with your clients that we do today. You just can't. You're going to burn out at some point. So when you reach your goal in production, in my opinion, this is just my 2 cents, you need to concentrate on agent attraction because that's what's going to pay you for the rest of your life. That's what's going to allow you to retire one day and have something to show for the years that you spent in the industry. Because those transactions are only pay you that year. Yeah.
Yeah, this month I pay my mortgage with revenue share, which is, I know.
Congratulations.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. I remember of like the first month I got my very first revenue share, same thing. We can pay the mortgage with it. And then the next one, it was like the mortgage and the car insurance. And then the next one, it was the mortgage, the car insurance and the car payment. And then the next month was the mortgage, the car insurance, the car payment and Netflix and this and that and groceries. And then it just snowballs into like, oh my gosh, it pays this, and this, and that's what you want. So one day you can say like, you know what, I'm tired. It's time for me to retire. It's time for me to like, just only work with my friends and family or advise other agents or help others to do what I did. Because you're not going to have the energy and the patience to do this for the rest of your life with the same stamina.
Especially when you are doing a lot of transactions a year, there is no way you can do it part-time. I mean, like, you have to work, even if, you know, I hire a transaction coordinator, I hire a part-time assistant just to work less, but it's still, I have to answer phone calls, I have to show homes, I have to, you know, go to listing appointments and stuff like that. So yeah, it gets,
Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Guys, ask her absolutely anything. We have her for a couple more minutes. Anything about, yeah, Lauren, go ahead.
I just have a comment that I loved your advice about Zoom calling with the lender as well, because I always have a really tough time asking the question, are you pre-qualified? Like, it's such an ugly question, you know, so I've tried to rephrase it or find different language, but honestly, I think I'm just going to do what your advice was, to just add the lender along.
yeah. And another thing, thank you for saying that. Another thing is that way you keep that client with you too, you know, so you don't risk that that client is going to go and talk with another lender, and that lender is going to talk about their favorite realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
that
it also makes you look like you have a team.
yeah. So right now, when my clients put a review, or like like a review about my business, they are talking about she has an amazing team. They talk about the team that I have, and they they have a transaction coordinator and a lend, so they feel like I have a team ready to help them. So that
That's awesome.
yeah.
Care has a question too.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. So actually, in regards to like the lenders and all of that stuff, so I had a call with a potential buyer yesterday, and she asked me like those questions. And like my first question is, do you have a lender? Right? Did you already speak to one? Because the way that I try to approach it is like I give them, I have 3 lenders that I work with. And so how do you pick and choose which lender to go with the buyer, like which buyer? Because what I did is like, I just sent her like the profiles of my lenders. And I was like, go ahead, ask me any questions, and I'll follow up with you, on Wednesday. And she's like, okay. Cause she's like, I don't really know. And I know that like, my 2 lenders are really good with first time home buyers, but I can't really just say like, hey, this is my one lender that I work with. We have to say.
So in Yasmin's case, it's a little different because she needed a lender that speaks Spanish. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's a little bit limited, but in our case, you can make it as simple as, hey, just have the initial phone conversation with them, send them your preferred vendors list, which has the 3 lenders on it, and say, choose one, let me know which one sounds better, which one you would like me to bring to the meeting. And then you set up the Zoom meeting and bring that lender. So then they chose one out of the 3. So it's not on you.
Okay, yeah. She just was kind of like, can we talk, like today? And I'm like, sure, yep. And then I was like, well, and she was asking me all these questions, and I told her like, I'm not the professional, like you have to speak with them and then we can kind of proceed with that. But, and that's why I was like,
we have an initial introductory email that goes out to every single client after the first phone call we have. And in there, we attach our preferred vendors list. And in Team Gogo, you guys all have access to the preferred vendors list. All you need to do is build it out with your own preferred vendors. Yeah. And then you take that, it's like an Excel sheet. And we talk about, okay, let's say it's a painter or it's a lender, okay, in this conversation. So you put lender 1, email address, phone number, website, their name, their direct line, a little note about them, and maybe they'll get the appraisal. Okay, then the lender number 2, name, email address, phone number, website, a little bit about that, their direct phone number, and maybe they give, 2 points off of whatever. I mean, like whatever that they give. Most of our preferred vendors give something to Gogo's real estate team customers. So there's a reason for them to use them. So then you send that, and then you'll say on your phone conversation to buyers, say, hey, right after this call, thank you so much. I enjoy talking to you. Right after this call, I'm going to follow up with an email. And in that email, you're going to have what's called the preferred vendors list. On there are multiple lenders that I've worked with in the past. Please choose one. Let me know who you would like to talk to, and I invite them to our meeting Friday at 2:00 on the Zoom. So then that way they chose it. So you didn't steer them in a direction. You gave them 3 options. They told you who you want them to write. Or who they
got it. Tell them too, you don't have to pick and work with this lender. At the end of the day, I'm going to work with the lender you decide or you choose. Yeah. It's just, we answer questions, at at this time, at this
Right.
meeting, and that's why I invited this lender. So